the mic is on the actual fucking right setting or else... Oh, wait. The laptop... Hey, you want to use the laptop mic? You don't? Of course you do. Actually, you do.
Of course.
An entire fucking smoke break went to waste because of that. And then I went to go try and fix it, and then the laptop fucking... It reset. And then and I forgot to save, and it was just gone. Forever.
That sucks.
Oh, everybody, welcome to fucking...
Eyez on Crash.
Welcome to Eyez on Crash.
Yeah. I didn't need to do that, but that was a thing that I certainly did in this time.
Oh. It's not wasting any time. We're both on a slight video game note. We're patiently waiting for Monster Hunter 4.
I'm not patient actually. I'm just gonna sleep through the week mentally. Even right now.
By the time this is out, it'll probably already be out, so.
Don't look that far into the future! Don't toy with me! I need this game! If you can't tell, I'm in a fetal position.
Or he's trying the best he can, lazily, while also sitting on the couch.
Yeah, well, you know. Anyway, the video game of the decade forever, Monster Hunter 4. Buy it!
Monster Hunter 4
Buy it! What is that? Majora's Mask? You're gonna go buy Majora's? That's a good game? Alright, I'll give you this. I'll give you this. It's a good game. Give it a gold sticker. Push it to the side. Wait, but get this.
It's a good game. Nintendo printed 1 billion thousand of them. They know you're gonna get it. You've already played it.
Oh, but I gotta play the new one where all the bosses have new eyeball weaknesses.
Put it in a box. Put it aside. You don't even need it. You don't even need it. Just go get Monster Hunter. What you need right now is that Monster Hunter 4 You
need that monster crack. Smoke it with us.
You need to fight Pinecone Steve.
Necromancer Gore. Fucking... those sound like real names.
Crimson Death Rex. By the way, I bookmarked fucking Chaotic Rune. I was starting to read that.
Oh, Chaotic Rune. Oh, no! No! I might have to read it now. I might have to read
It's a card game, but it's more edgy because people die. And the monsters come out your stomach.
Oh, it's so cool.
It opens up the gate to the monster world.
Oh, Edge.
Oh, jeez.
So let's talk about...
What else have I been fucking keeping up on?
It's a good transition.
Yeah, I finished Misfits recently. Seasons 1, 2, and 3, fantastic. Seasons 4 and 5. I didn't really like the new guys as much, but it still ended well enough to like... If you like Misfits throughout, you'd probably still want to get the DVDs or whatever. It's still a solid series, and it's not super long. Yeah. It feels like they ended it right before shit could get tired.
Right.
Like apparently they've been planning a movie for a really long time. The series ended in 2009, so I'm super late on it, but I didn't have to wait for episodes to come out, so fuck you. I could just speed through the series and be like, yep.
Yeah.
It's good.
It is good. I still need to watch it.
They've been planning a movie for a while now. But
it's been like 6 years. Do you think it's really going to happen at this point?
I doubt it.
That's going to be in development hell. Limbo, if you will.
Like, even like the actors in the show are like, I don't think this is going to get made, you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. We've also been me and him have both been starting to watch Assassination Classroom.
Mm-hmm. I haven't finished reading it yet, but I think I might. I'm debating whether I should just like leave it alone and just read the anime, watch
the anime.
Just watch. Just watch the anime, or just like read through it and then watch the anime, because like the anime doesn't cut anything out, because it's not really a gruesome anime or anything like that.
Yeah, it seems very, very like it's more like deranged and screwed up in terms of like how all the kids are like, yeah, let's murder, yeah, assassination,
let's murder our teacher,
yeah, and then they all have to do in sequence knife training and stuff.
And the teacher's like, yeah, that's the spirit, kill me, because if you don't, I'm gonna blow up the earth.
Yeah. But while being like a really, really good teacher. It's so crazy how a series like this can really like hit the feels and make it like touching, despite the fact that it's about kids trying to kill their teacher. That's an alien freak-ass fucking tentacle monster.
It's not even an alien. He's from Earth. He's an experiment.
Yeah.
He's like this freak-ass fucking octopus man experiment.
Yeah, just a really awful like thing that could destroy the world.
And move at Mach 30.
Yeah, he'll be at Vietnam in like 2 minutes.
He'll go all the way to the North Pole to get ice to make gelatos.
Yeah. Just, like, he is pretty broken, but I guess we can, like, whenever that gets, like, done with, because I hear the anime is going to be 26 episodes, so that's going to be a while from now. We'll probably do an episode of it.
Like, comparing the anime for this to the anime of the guy's other creation, Private Evil Eye Nero, I really wish they would have got a better studio for Nero.
Yeah.
Because it was one of those animes that like it didn't have the same pacing as the manga, and also it ended like it had a filler ending. I think the manga was still going on at the time.
It was still ongoing, and like you could feel that it was made from the same creator of Nero. Just it's definitely
the art style looks well. The art style, he's grown as an artist.
Definitely,
it looked like proportions and everything looked better in Assassination Classroom, but you can tell from like faces and eyes and stuff that it's the same
him.
Artist.
Yeah, but he kind of sugars it up, makes it look cute, but it's really not cute. It's kind of funny because in the anime I noticed like the outlines on the characters are really like defined, like they're big and they look very cartoony, very bright, vibrant colors. Everything's really bright. When this anime, if you think about it,
you don't even have to think about it. They just straight up tell you.
Yeah, it's just it's a dark premise, but like. It's just especially the opening is bubbly as fuck. I kind of hate it.
I love it.
I love it and hate it, like, at the same time.
I think the intro fits the story perfectly.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, let's try to kill our teacher while he teaches valuable lessons about life.
Yeah. But yeah, you guys should get on that. It's talking right now, like, since this will be uploaded probably later in the week, it's probably about 5 episodes in, 4, give or take. So definitely check it out. It's not too far in. It's going to be really fun to keep up with weekly.
Also, check out Private Evil Eye Nero. But read it. Don't bother with the anime.
If you want to, I'd say
it's not a terrible anime, but it's like it's not as good, not nearly as good as the manga.
I could say this.
And I'm not saying that in a manga's always better sort of way.
I could say this, like, if you are reading, or if you are reading it, don't go to the anime. There's no reason to. Unless if you really want to make comparisons, if you really want to just know. But if you haven't even checked it out, maybe check the anime out first if you prefer, but then go on to the manga. Like, make sure you go to that so you know the differences. For sure.
That's what I'm going to do with Guyver. Because both anime, like, I don't know, I think the old anime goes up to the same part as the newer one, but they both don't finish the story at all. Like, the newest anime only goes from volume 1 to 10. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, hey, Giant Guyver.
Yeah.
You should probably start reading the manga now.
Yeah, and I finished, since it was a while since we uploaded the last one, I don't think I brought this up in the last one, I finished Korra.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I definitely didn't. I finished Legend of Korra. This was a few weeks ago, and I gotta say, it was pretty good. I guess just my biggest problem and what keeps me from saying that's better than the original is just it didn't really have... It had 4 villains, like 1 villain a season, and I feel like that was both a good thing and a bad thing. A really good thing because, hey, you have all these different personalities. They have room to develop new, like, bad guys and or, like, questionably anarchists, like in one case. But, you know, just... I liked that in the original, it was 3 or 4... I think it was it 3 seasons or 4 seasons?
For what?
For Last Airbender. I think it was 3 seasons, right?
Oh.
Something like that. I might have to rewatch Last Airbender, but I definitely remember liking it a lot better. And
I still haven't. I've only watched the first episode of Korra, so I have to get on that.
Yeah, just in the Last Airbender, you always had the Fire Nation, or like the corrupt, like other parts of nations that would side with the Fire Nation, like the Dai Li and stuff. But you know, I think the Dai Li sided with the Fire. Again, been a while. I could be wrong, but overall, I like that it had more of a focused villain cast that was more developed as seasons went on, like Azula and then Zuko, who, you know, spoiler alert, jump a few seconds ahead if you really don't want to hear it. Now, Zuko, who starts off as a villain and then becomes a hero much later on. And of course, Phoenix King Fire Lord Ozai.
I love Phoenix King Fire Lord Ozai. He is such a fuck-ass villain. Sure, Azula, you can be the Fire Lord because I just made up my own better title.
I leveled up!
I just made up my own better title of Phoenix King. Now I'm gonna fly around on my battle zeppelins and burn everything.
Yeah, I mean, you can argue, like, yeah, Ozai was a pretty, like, he wasn't super developed, not as much as, like, say, Azula and some of the other characters, but, like...
I think he was developed, like, well, because, like, his kids would often refer to him and talk about him.
Yeah.
And he would get shown through their eyes,
his
basically.
threat was constantly shown and teased, so you had a really long road to wait until they had to deal with him. But in Korra, it's like, oh, they're going to deal with this villain at the end of the season. Oh. And it makes each season feel so disconnected from one another. Like, seasons... Like, the only villain that I feel like had any kind of, like, prior development, and... this is taking it lightly, is the villain for Season 4, because that villain actually shows up for 2 seconds in Season 3! Oh, hey, this is my name! And then some dramatic music plays when the character reveals the name of the character. Just like, but you don't even know that he or she is going to be a villain next season. But... then you see he or she. The second you see he or she, everybody's like, what a great person. And then I'm just like, no, you're a villain. You're going to turn bad. Yeah, you're bad. you're Hitler, basically. Stop it. Aside from that, though, and Season 2 was terrible, but I won't get into that. Again,
once everyone's caught up, we'll do an entire...
Yeah, definitely. Aside from Season 2, it was a good watch. I definitely recommend it if you like Last Airbender. Just don't go in expecting the same amount of quality. Because it's certainly... other than animation, because the animation, it's hard to knock. It's really good. But, like, other than that, it's not quite as good. It's still really good. Just, not quite up to the par.
Wait, which one are you talking about?
Korra.
Ah.
Still. But also, I've been watching Kamen Rider Wizard, which is really, really good. And I'm almost halfway through it. And it kind of gives me an O's vibe, but it has its own things. And I kind of like that the Kamen Riders are called Wizards and not Kamen Riders. It's kind of reminds me of Hibiki, where they were called Onis and not Kamen Riders. So, yeah, definitely if you're a fan of Kamen Rider and haven't yet, check it out. It's fun. I'd say the only thing that I'd have wrong with it is a little fillery at first, but it picks up. It picks up.
And I am watching Kiva.
Kamen Rider Kiva.
And by that, I mean I've only seen the first 3 episodes so far.
So he doesn't really have much to talk about right now.
I don't. Because of the whole Misfits binge thing, I put it off to the side. That and Ashita no Joe, which I'm actually pretty far in. Like he's about to fight his rival from fucking Juvenile Hall.
That's cool. And as for me, what other things I'll bring up? I finished Tokyo Ghoul. That was the thing I watched. That's all. Like, I started reading the manga, and I'm like, well, I'm glad I watched this first so I could enjoy the manga more. Because this was not awful. It didn't offend me, but boy, does it skip or change a bunch. To the point where now the second season is not even the manga. I haven't watched that yet. I hear good things, but I haven't watched it yet. So I'll probably get on that eventually. Other than that, though, the usual keeping up in Toriko, Bleach. I can't believe Berserk if he decides to do more chapters ever and forever. And I'm kind of caught up on Terraformers and Attack on Titan.
I'm trying to remember what I've been reading. I'm definitely gonna go back down that Guyver road again. I bookmarked the manga, and then I'm gonna go start watching the anime again so that I can be thoroughly caught up. So that I can read the manga. I tried to go back to. I haven't it's been probably fucking 5 years, maybe just out of high school that I fucking watched the newest anime, and then I foolishly tried to go to the manga recently. I was like, I don't know where I am. So I'm gonna go back, watch the anime while reading the manga. Same thing I did with Kenshin. I don't know if I mentioned this in a previous episode, but watched and read all of Kenshin none too long ago, and I really, really wish they would have animated that last saga.
Yeah, same here. About maybe a year ago, I'd say, I finished Kenshin. No, actually not even a year ago. No, half a year ago, yeah. I watched the anime and then I read the rest of the manga and I was like, oh.
This shit was hype.
Shit, man. Maybe one day.
I'm at his plan was to fucking beat the shit out of Kenshin and then stab his girlfriend so he'd die from a broken heart.
Because he was that butthurt. He was that made.
That's some broiling fucking blood vengeance right there.
And what was the main villain's name again for the last arc?
Ishin,
yeah. Was it Ishin?
It was something like that.
Yeah, we again could be wrong. I'm not gonna fact check it right now. That's out of our control. The tides that bind say no, so let us proceed.
But back to Ashita no Joe. This is hard times, data. This is hard times anime data. Fucking just this shit ass drifter kid who just walks into Skid Row. And almost gets mugged, but he's too much of a badass and beats up the muggers. And then this drunken old ex-boxing coach / ex-boxer, fucking, you gotta box. Let me teach you how to box. And he said, get the fuck off me, old man. And so this old man fucking bothers Joe until he eventually goes, all right, fine, I'll box. But this is not before he gets sent to Juvenile Hall. He fucking he grabs up all the shit kids in Skid Row and then fucking scams this rich girl out of a bunch of money.
Oh my god.
And then the cops have to come and get him. But then the old guy was like, he's my responsibility. I'll do it. And the old guy beats the shit out of Joe. I still got the skills to pay the bills, and you just got high level street punk training. You can't beat me. I'm a goddamn boxer. This old piece of shit looking old man just managed to wash this fucking. He was probably 17. This 17-year-old punk, and then he got sent to juvenile hall where he meets his fucking rival with the coolest fucking music.
Oh yeah, yeah. You sent me that shit, and I was like, "This is too smooth."
Whenever he shows up, it's like, "Yeah, it's your boy Rikishi. He's here."
Rikishi.
And so he fights with him for a while he's in juvenile hall, and he's like, "Oh man, you got to teach me boxing. I gotta beat this guy. This guy's my eternal rival. He has to lose to me." And so like, at the end of it just goes on from there. They both get out of juvenile hall. They become professional boxers, and shit just. That's when the real story starts.
The real.
It's a really good old fucking anime. When they really need to animate some stuff, they animate it really well. And you know it was all done by hand, so it looks like there's so much love behind the animation. There's some stock footage here and there, but like the stuff that they stock footage isn't really like super story heavy or like super important, so you can forgive it on that one.
Right. And I've been one final thing that I've been watching was again, this was quite a gap between the last podcast, so we've been watching a lot. Mm-hmm. I'm almost done. I'm in the middle of season 4 currently of the Venture Brothers, and that show is like, why haven't I ever watched this show? This show is great in the most terrible way. It's like I'm watching this and I'm like, these guys don't give a fuck. They don't care about their fans. They don't care about what they want. They will do panels at Comic-Con just to make fun of their fans and their fan mail. Like, they don't care. And I love that. They just do shit. And then I'm like, yes, this is great.
It's like, what the fuck are you? I don't know what you're sitting there complaining about. We ain't making this shit for you. We're making this for us.
Because this shit's fucked. This shit's fucked. Like, I think there are already, like, 2 or 3 pedophile characters in the series. I'm like, now one former pedophile, but then one recently introduced pedophile. Fucking Captain Sunshine. But you can still be my Wonder Boy. But you can still be my Wonder Boy, though. But you can still be my Wonder Boy. Oh, don't go. Don't go. Just, like, this show, and like, they know just what to parody when it comes to like old school, like Johnny Quest shit.
To the point where like characters from those era of cartoons are actually canon in the fucking Venture Brothers theory.
Yeah, like Johnny Quest is here. Just
Race Bannon is in it, but he dies.
Yeah, like Johnny Quest is there, and he's fucking. I'll let you find out. You'll see.
This fucking $60 billion man or $6 billion man is in it.
Yeah, and then of course Johnny Quest's fucking villain, who everybody's like, all the villains are like, yo, this guy, he's the shit. And just, I feel like it still has the feeling of like a fucking Johnny Quest parody later on, but I feel like it deviates from that and becomes its own whack-ass, crazy, not giving a fuck beast. Just like they make so many decisions that I think that would piss their fans off a lot, but they just ride it. They ride it. Like,
I think like at this point in the series, all of the people who don't get it by now have already fallen by the wayside, and only the true fans remain.
Yeah. And before we move on, though, like, I just want to point out one thing about the show. The titular character, Dr. Venture, yeah, he's a shit. He's worse than most of the villains in the show. And, like, it blows my mind, because he doesn't care about his sons at all. Like, other than the fact that, like, again, spoilers, cut a few minutes ahead, the drill, right. He made clones of his sons.
Because they just keep dying.
And then, it flashed back to when Brock Samson was just joining up to be the bodyguard. And, he shows off this one deformed version of Dean, and he's like, oh, this is terrible. I'm gonna flush this down. And then it cuts to the present time where just in the bottom of the Venture compound lives this awful-looking Dean clone who's just like, why can't he love me? Just and then in the end he fucking explodes thinking that the bomb was Dr. Venture. And then at the end Dr. Venture was like, who's that? This show, it's awful in the best way. It's awful in terms of it doesn't give a fuck and it will make those jokes that are lowbrow, but in the context of the show, pretty fucking funny. It is really well written too, I have to say. For as lowbrow as some of the jokes get, most of them are...
It's a mixture of, lowbrow jokes and really,
and smart guy jokes.
Really smart jokes.
Yeah. So, it's a good balance, especially if you're looking for, another, adult-oriented cartoon show other than Family Guy or American Dad. You should definitely...
Or Archer.
Yeah. I'd actually compare this more to Archer in terms of the humor and the demographic. I'd say definitely check this out if you enjoy Archer. But anyway, so I guess now we can move on to the Kabuto cast.
Indeed, we could.
Here we go.
Let Casey get his fucking rage boner out of the way.
Yeah.
For this show.
Oh, he hates me.
We actually filmed this once before, but we had to cut it short. And Casey was like, "No, you will not deny me my rage boner. We will record it again in full glorious detail. I must get this off my chest."
Yeah, and I think we definitely did a good job this time. We got everything we need to get off of our chest. And I gotta say, to some extent, I feel bad for showing Casey this series because when I first watched it, I didn't think it was that bad. But boy, watching it again with people made me realize just how bad it really is. Want to know how bad? Find out!
Find that theme. Just go on YouTube, type in Kamen Rider Kabuto funny, and just brace yourself for cancer.
And that is a good segue into our current. Damn it!
It's a good segue into what we're going to talk about right now.
Kamen Rider Kabuto. Yes. One of the many Kamen Rider series made by Toei back in 2006. It was the last Kamen Rider series, unfortunately, to be using a bug theme, which is sad because, Kamen Rider used to be all about them bugs. And the last one that used the bug theme kind of is not that good.
But it's not that good, but people, it gets high reviews from, a lot of people for some reason.
We're not really high reviews, just mostly consistent of this series is pretty good or it's okay.
As opposed to the more appropriate review of this is fucking terrible.
Because it's pretty bad.
Whenever I hear of Kamen Rider, even if it's in passing, Kabuto always gets brought up.
Yeah, for having such a crazy Mary Sue character, from just all the wackiness that happens, it's especially considering where it came from, because every other Rider series before this seemed to kind of fit a more serious tone, where this series kind of opted out for, not funny.
Well, it didn't really start that way, though, and it was, wacky's a strong word. I saw some of the other ones, I've seen a lot of other, Japanese shows, there's just wackiness all around. It's just cultural differences, whatever. But this one, it's not just cultural differences. They're just trying way too hard to be funny in, like, the most obnoxious, childish way, and it just doesn't work.
And tonal whiplash at that.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, they start out, like, almost dead serious. They do, like, the absolute most juvenile, unfunny shit, and then they expect us to go back to a serious plot. Like, this one character, you know, he has, like, this whole, like, dream montage of, you know, like, everything he wanted to do in life right before he dies. And it's legitimately tragic. But for, like, the past, 30 episodes before that, he's a complete fucking joke.
Yeah. And that's kind of what the main issue with Kabuto is. Well, among many. But one of the main ones is its characters. And I think we can transition now into talking about the characters. Let's talk about the main guy. The guy who will walk the path to heaven. And Soji.
Walking the path of heaven. The one who will stand above everything. Tendo Sochi. I don't think I got that completely right.
Oh, it's kind of hard. You're not...
Yeah.
Well, none of us can. I mean, we're not Soji, so we're not as amazing as him.
I still did the finger point thing.
Yep. You did.
Like, that kind of caught on.
You did, yes. I bet the audience at home feels it. But, yeah, so...
Let's talk all about his personality.
Yeah.
Like, the personality traits he has.
I'm better than everyone. Okay, so next character.
Well, I mean, I'd hate to segue into it like that, but yeah, pretty much is it. Pretty much the entirety of his character is the fact that he's better than other people at everything, no matter how little sense it makes.
He's a Mary Sue. He knows he's a Mary Sue.
Everybody else kind of sees that he's a Mary Sue, and it upsets them.
Well, yeah, wouldn't you? But no, but that's the thing. Like, when it started, they were pretty much playing him off almost as, like, a joke. Right, I guess, you know, as the internet would call it, a parody Sue. If they actually stuck with that, it actually would, like, if this show were just a straight comedy, it was actually kind of funny. Just watching this one guy go around just annoying the hell out of everyone because he's so perfect at everything.
Mm-hmm. It would have worked better as a J drama and not a Kamen Rider series. Like, if it was a J drama about this fucking Mary Sue and also about cooking.
I bet that was the original idea that got scrapped. Hey, let's throw in shoehorn in Kamen Riders. Yes.
You know, before we get too into this, not enough can be said about the show and cooking. Like,
I think that deserves its whole own section.
Perhaps I've spoken too soon. That does deserve its own section.
Yes.
But anyway,
so next main character who definitely does deserve to be talked about is Kagami. Freaking
the actual main character.
Yep.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes.
He's not the one who becomes Kamen Rider Kabuto, but for all intents and purposes, he pretty much is the main character.
The actual main character who doesn't get to be the main character until about halfway through the show.
Yeah.
Well, he gets his Zector halfway through the show, but from the very start, he's the only character who actually matters as far as the story goes. Well, not the only one that matters, but he clearly matters the most. Tendo is kind of like...
The show really wants him to...
It's like the director's son just walked on stage and everyone's just being nice to him. Like, he has almost no bearing on the plot. He just walks around going like, hey, I'm better than you.
Like, he's supposed to be the experienced writer who, like, the actual main writer, like, kind of learns from, but he takes up too much space.
Right. And I feel like the show really thinks that Tendo is just the main character. Like, way too much. You see way too much of him doing stupid shit that's inconsequential to the actual plot.
You know, we're getting a little meta here, but Soji Tendo just took over Kagami's character intro.
Oh, no. Let's
You thought you were done with him.
Oh.
It's like, no, get back here, Kagami. This is my show. This is my name in the title. I don't care if I have nothing to do with the plot. Mine.
Oh, God. Yeah.
The one who will rule over everything.
The one.
Standing at the top of heaven.
Mm-hmm. And the top of stealing people's fucking intros.
And stealing people's kills.
Yep. Anyway, back to Kagami. Mm-hmm. He, I feel like he's a very if anything, relatable character.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, he wants to be just as great as, Tendo and all the other riders, but he's kind of like, I guess, not a rider, so he struggles with just being a normal human.
Yeah, so, he actually has development and things affect him as the plot goes on, like a main character.
Spoiler alerts, by the way. This show came out in 2002. Come on.
I thought it was
2006.
2006. What? It's still a long time. It's
Yeah.
2015.
It is a long time ago.
Just dated this video.
Shit. Not that they can't look at the YouTube description, but anyway.
Yeah, but now it's actually in the video.
Yeah. So he
So yeah, Obama.
Yeah. So back to Kagami once again. Definitely the best character in the whole show. Again, I said it before, he doesn't belong in the show.
Well, best character, I think, I would agree with that, but I'd only agree because he stays consistently interesting.
He actually grows as a character.
Exactly. Like, there were certainly times where I liked a lot of the other characters more than him, but they did not keep it up.
No.
Like, they were cool for a second, and then, Tendo walks in and is like, hey, what you doing there? I'm sorry, this is my plot.
Kagami reminds me, we just got finished watching the first few episodes of Ryuki, and Kagami reminds me of Ryuki. Of Shinji.
Yeah, well, I guess it's the same kind of setup how, one guy, he's a complete noob at this, the other is a bit more experienced, but also, he's, like soft-spoken, brooding, and just, better than the main character. Actually, no, in Ryuki, they didn't really play up the whole he's better than you that much. He just is legitimately more experienced.
He's been around the block.
They even show him, like, having a hard time back when he was a shit-ass beginner as well. Freaking Knight.
Yeah,
I'm not really going to fault him for playing up that dynamic. I mean, there's lots of things that do that. It's just the fact that, like, no matter what anything has to do with anything, somehow it just goes out the window and it just becomes about Tendo again.
And he's always right. Always.
Yep. Wow, I'm amazed that we said we don't have much to talk about him, but it looks like we're just going to pepper Tendo throughout all of this.
Well,
kind of impossible not to.
Like we said, he always reaches his hand into someone else's storyline and just takes it over. So we're going to have something to say about Tendo whenever we mention another character, because it's always, and this is where Tendo shits on their life.
Because that's pretty much... we are going back to Tendo, but that's pretty much what he is. He really has...
The world actually revolves around him.
Yeah, pretty much.
As much as he says it, he's right.
Because, like, his own actual arc is just, like, painfully generic. He just keeps, butting his nose in everyone else's.
Yep.
Even though he is actually always right. And then sometimes people don't listen to him for some reason. This is later in the series.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, like, what was it, in, like, the last 3 episodes or so, there's this, I'm not even going to get into it, but there's a big thing going on. Kabuto, he's just, like, not explaining what he's doing. Everyone's like, oh my god, what are you doing? He's like... He's
a terrorist now. He's gone rogue.
Yeah, and he says, well, I don't have to explain shit.
I'd buy it if he wasn't doing that the whole series already.
Which, at first, I was going to say, that's his fault for not explaining himself, because he totally could have just explained it to them and nothing would have gone wrong. Mm-hmm. But then it's also on them for not listening to him, because he is literally right about everything every single time.
Mm-hmm. And
so yeah, Kagami, he's a character.
Kagami, best character.
I think we can all agree that, like, one of the best moments from Kagami's, like, overall arc is when he actually gets his Zector, because it really shows his growth as a character, and he worked really hard for that.
After his Zector whooped him.
Yeah, like, his Zector was a pretty brutal motherfucker. And by the way, Zectors are little bug-shaped machines that they use and put on their belt to transform. And this one, they are all AI powered, so they know when to show up for what. And this,
where are you getting that from? They don't explain shit.
They don't, but I'm gonna go with that.
Okay, so correction. Bob is speculating they're AI controlled and all that good stuff.
Speculation.
Let's just go with, if you have the belt, they're intrinsically connected to you, and they just know.
Yeah, and Kagami wasn't a badass enough to use the Zector at first, but then he kind of, like, through stroke.
It literally beat his ass.
Yeah, well, yeah, actually beat the shit out of him and hospitalized him.
Well, yeah, specifically his Zector was kind of just an asshole that would beat people up.
This is rude.
I mean,
put him in the steel box. See if it accepts you. Oh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they don't really explain if the other Zectors went around beating people up too, but I guess the fact that they put so much emphasis on this one, we can assume this is the only asshole Zector.
He's the one rude apple.
But whatever. I'm not watching these shows for the science, but like they don't even try to explain how the shit works.
Yep. And get used to us saying that because that is commonplace. But anyway.
No, like even compared to like American Power Rangers, they just don't explain shit.
Right. And so like once he actually gets his Zector, like you find out he's probably one of the most powerful Kamen Riders in the whole series, which is especially satisfying because again, he worked really hard for that. I still wouldn't say he's up there with Tendo for a reason we'll explain later.
I was going to say, because of course Tendo takes that away from him later.
Yep. But for a good while, he's pretty much on par with Tendo. In fact, maybe a little bit more versatile because every Kamen Rider has an armored mode and an cast-off mode. Everybody eventually just opts to go for cast-off since it's faster that way and it's not bulky like the armored mode. But Kagami actually has...
a lot of people's armored mode doesn't give them any added benefit other than just extra armor.
Yeah, and even then, the show doesn't give a good, like, it doesn't portray that well. But Kagami's armored mode has 2 cannons on his shoulders. Hey, there you go.
He's gun cannon.
More or less.
Yeah. I mean, the whole, armor cast-off thing I thought was really cool, but yeah, a lot of times they were just in such a hurry to skip to cast-off.
Yeah, it really undermined the armored modes. Like, later series would get better at...
Well, I think the whole point of it was, just like the worms themselves, it's how they molt, they shed their excess skin and become stronger for it.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
It was, but
I guess it was supposed to be kind of like an equivalent, but not really, because even in armored mode, they were still, like...
Yeah, but they were better with it off. It still worked.
Yeah.
I feel like still other later series would do better, and even like earlier series would do better with like form changes and stuff. Like every form would get its time in the spotlight and would do something. I feel like the only person who made good use of their armored mode was Kagami sometimes.
Well, I'll have to figure that out when I see the other ones, because mind you, this is the first Kamen Rider series I've seen, and thanks to this asshole... This is now the first impression I have of Kamen Rider, this wonderful franchise that's been around for so many years that I keep hearing such wonderful things about. This is the first one I see. Thanks, Bob.
Hey, I'm just getting the bad ones out of the way, alright? So you can understand good. Anyway, let's talk about more characters.
Yeah, I hope the audience can hear my silence.
Oh, yeah. So, let's talk about all people who used the B. Yes, Leon's computer going into sleep mode.
Kamen Rider Zabee, actually spelled Zabee.
Which is actually a wasp.
Yeah, despite that.
But whatever, code name, who cares?
Yeah, so first, I don't even know the actual difference. They're both yellow and they sting things.
So first,
bees die when they sting you.
So
wasps can sting the fuck out of you repeatedly.
Oh, well, thank you for that clarification.
Yep. So Zabee, who uses him? Well, let's first start off talking about the first user, Yagamura.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, the bee is a village bicycle.
Kanzan Showa. Perfecto
harmony. Well, you remember what we said about how Kabuto was gonna, jump back in and, ruin everyone else's story?
Yeah.
So this guy, alright, he works for the elite part of Zect, the guys who hunt, the organization that hunts down the monsters in the show, who, mind you, apparently, like, their entire army will get his ass kicked by a putty, they're so bad. He's part
and also their organization in general is bad. People will just join one episode.
We'll get to that later. But yeah, like these guys are so stupidly outmatched. You can send like a fucking army of these guys, and they'll get owned by the series equivalent of a putty. Yagamura, he's part of the elite part of them named Shadow, where if the entire squad focuses down a single putty, they can take down that putty.
Yep, that one singular worm.
But yeah, no, he's a pretty swell guy. He's really professional. He's always talking about, his perfect harmony with his team, how they all work together as a unit. And by work together as a unit, he means, they go distract something while he secures all the kills, because he's the only one who's a rider. But, well, I mean...
know your role, play a part.
Yeah, well, all jokes aside, he actually was a really good team player.
Then Nintendo happened.
And then, of course, he's assigned to take down Kabuto, which I'm not even going to say understandably, but because, you don't understand anything in the series, but yeah.
And that's why we didn't get straight to talking about the story, because there's...
Yeah, but anyway, yeah,
whatever.
so they send him to go fight another rider. Apparently that's not terribly uncommon.
They're not working. It's basically Nintendo's not working with us. So go kill him, because only Zack gets to have riders.
Yeah, and he's kind of like the wild card. We can't trust him.
Yeah, which actually does kind of make sense. But if you look at, I'm not going to explain why the story doesn't make sense yet. But anyway, so he tries.
It's kind of like if a civilian got his hand on a tank, and the military was like, "What is that civilian doing with a tank?"
Sure. No, I'm saying that does make sense. Just when you actually get into all the other dumb shit, Zek.
Yeah.
But all right. Anyway,
Zek is the worst. That's all you need to know for now.
Yeah.
We'll get into them.
All right. Anyway, as I was saying, so he goes to take down Kabuto, and go figure. Kabuto is fucking broken as hell. He's having a lot of trouble. That's fine, but Kabuto is so fucking broken. This guy gets so salty trying to beat this guy. That, that's pretty much what it is. It's like Elmer Fudd trying to shoot down Bugs Bunny. Eventually, he just starts getting frustrated and starts doing stupid things. Basically, Kabuto was so broken, he trolled this guy so hard, he made him so salty that, he abandoned his life's principle.
Yep, and then later on in the series became Broody McBroodster, Kamen Rider Kickhopper.
I mean, he beat him out of his fucking personal morals.
Yeah, well, don't get into Kickhopper yet. Yeah. Well, I mean, it is going to come
again. This is a character thesis. I don't care about spoilers.
Well, if anything, we should do it in order of Rider, because
it's
not a spoiler.
He becomes a different Kamen Rider later. We'll get into it. So next B.
Well, I mean, it's lucky that he did. Otherwise, basically, Kabuto just came and said nah, you can't beat me. The guy gets so fucking mad, he just abandons all of his principles and then loses his power.
Even the Bees actor was like, "Nah, man, you changed." And it fucks off.
No, I mean, if he didn't come back after that, and the character literally just fucked off like that because of Kabuto, that would have been even worse. Yeah. And that's pretty much what I thought happened up until he, surprisingly comes back.
And unfortunately, but we'll get into that. So
not that his return is all that glorious, but yeah.
Yeah, the second B, Kageyama.
Well, no. The second B was Kagami.
Oh yeah, for a little while. For
an
episode.
Yeah, an episode and a half.
Who cares? Doesn't matter.
And he was like,
well, no.
Then of course,
okay.
Yeah, what do you mean? Who cares? Well, first of all, the B is already. That's just my favorite Zector. I mean, it just looked really cool. Not that any of the wielders were that particularly spectacular, but no, yeah, I thought that was a pretty big deal. Hey, Kagami gets it because when Yagamura, just completely abandoned everything he ever stood for to beat Kabuto.
Yeah.
Kagami's sitting there like, hey, I still have some semblance of integrity. And the B's like, you're in. And yeah, that was awesome. Kagami's a rider now. And he was a pretty cool one because, again, I really like the B. But then after, they send him to go after Kabuto, he's like...
Predictably.
Yeah, because, that's what they sent the last one for. I don't know why he was so surprised by that. He's like, oh, I don't know. Kabuto's my friend.
And then Kabuto was like,
maybe.
Kabuto was like, you should totally stop being the B. And then he was like, you're right, buddy. I'm going to stop being the B. And then he was like, Kabuto, stop being the B. And Kabuto was like, why'd you stop being the B? You're stupid.
just Kabuto just being an ungrateful little shit. Hey, I gave up that superpower that they gave me. So I don't go out and murder you with it. The superpower that they gave me to murder you, this person I've known for 3 days, who's basically been annoying me for 3 days. But for some reason we're friends now, and I can't bear the thought of fighting you.
And and one of the only customers at this fuck ass restaurant.
No, that's probably why you couldn't kill him.
Yeah. So then the third B was Kageyama, who was working under Yagamura at the time as basically his first mate, his number one right-hand man. But then Kageyama kind of turned on Yagamura because when Yagamura was trying to rebuild Shadow, he was like, "Nah, you suck. So I've come. We
don't need you anymore, has-been."
Kamen Rider Starscream.
Yeah,
more or less. And
I mean, based on that, he was actually one of my favorite characters for a while because he was just really cool. He was ruthless. He was crafty.
Until again, thoroughly shat on by Tendo.
Thoroughly.
Yeah. No, when he first comes in.
And then by everyone else, basically.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I said, he was my favorite character for a while. When he first became the Bee, hands down, he was my favorite character in the show. Eventually, he ends up becoming an absolute fucking joke who no one cares about. But before that happened, let us reminisce in the good days. He gets the Bee, and they just show how ruthless he is. He was willing to put, Kagami's a nice guy, but he was willing to just throw Kagami out there as bait without telling him what was going on. Basically just going on about how, just ruthlessly efficient, doing whatever's necessary, backstabbing people. I mean, it brought Kagami to tears, how he was just talking about how expendable he was. I mean, this is a really good anti-hero. And then Tendo gets to him.
Mm-hmm. And Tendo does awful things to him, and then everybody does awful things to him, and then he descends into darkness.
But we'll talk about that later.
That's the thing, Kageyama, he's not even that weak. I mean, he's probably not as strong as Kabuto, but fucking no one is.
Probably not even as strong as Yagamura.
He had the coolest series of stings when he used the Bee. When he did that multi-sting on those putties, that shit looked cool as hell.
Well, as I already said,
Rider Sting is awesome.
Yeah, the Bee, at least aesthetically, is easily my favorite one. But yeah, same usual deal. He can't beat Kabuto, but it's not even at first that he was just that free, because there are other riders too. I mean, we'll get to him right afterwards. He's pretty much stronger than just about every rider but Kabuto and Kagami.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, no, maybe Sasori. Actually,
Sasori has a really inconsistent power level.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's either, second to Kabuto, or he's a complete joke, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
But, yeah, when they introduce another rider, the Bee is just fucking bodying this guy. It's not even funny.
Yeah, and that rider is Dragonfly. Daisuke, a better character than he is a rider.
Once again, another look at why this should have been a J-drama instead of a Kamen Rider show.
He's a makeup artist who's also apparently homeless, traveling with this little girl.
With his guitar case full of makeup supplies.
And she also has amnesia.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't remember her family.
So, yeah, he's a J-drama character that accidentally walked into the set of Kamen Rider.
Yep. And
he's a J-drama character who walked onto a J-drama set that was turned into Kamen Rider.
Yep. Sure. Because that's the thing, he's hilarious.
Yes.
He's really funny.
When he's not doing Rider stuff, he is one of the best characters in the show.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as he says henshin, he becomes, everyone's bitch. But while they're actually just walking around and being funny, he was actually really, really funny.
Yeah, a bit random, but again, this series does so much stupid shit that it kind of works.
Well, of course, though, the first, excursion he has with Kabuto, or with Tendo, the punchline is, once again, that Kabuto is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
They had a contest to see, who could get more girls. So, Tendo just does fuck all. He just doesn't give a shit. He just doesn't do anything.
He sits at the restaurant being one of 3 customers and
trying to scratch off tickets.
So, Daisuke, as, this beautiful Bishonen makeup artist, he ends up with, a whole crowd of girls. And then when they go to confront each other, it's like, look at what I have amassed. And Kabuto just sits there doing nothing. And they're like, Sochi Tendo! And all of his girls flock to Kabuto. And
that's making him the winner.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If it were just shit like that, that's actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
That's the, if
Tendo, you know all these girls? No, they all know me.
No, but that's the thing. Like I said, if this was just a straight comedy, that's actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. That unadulterated level of Mary Sue never turns off, even when things get serious. Actually, let's take a step back to Kagami. He's the one with an actual story going on here. One thing that really bothered me, one of the earlier episodes, where they find the worm who... Also, in the series, when worms kill people, they can, assume their identity and stuff. We'll get to that.
Monsters do that.
But yeah, he ends up confronting the worm that killed his little brother when they were very young.
Yeah, his little brother went missing, and they were still looking for him, but then he resurfaces, and then it turns out that he was eaten by a worm.
Yeah.
And now it's assumed his identity.
Yeah, but that's the thing, he's confronting both, his brother's face and, the thing that killed his brother. That should have been really emotional. Well, it was emotional, but it should have been, a very Kagami episode. It should have been really, really personal. But then basically he cries about it, ends up being useless, and then Kabuto comes in and just kills it. Literally just like any other monster of the week.
Yep. Destroys any kind of sense of tension that the episode build up.
But that's the thing,
any personal catharsis, just whatever.
Just let
Tendo do it. Because he is the best.
I tell this to Bob, I was telling this to Bob, I was watching it. It always reminds me of this one episode of Power Rangers SPD, where the Red and Blue Rangers, they fucking hate each other. There's always fucking around with each other. But, one episode, they end up finding the monster that killed the Blue Ranger's father. Now, the Blue Ranger always wanted to be a Red Ranger, just like his father was. But, the current Red Ranger hates his ass. But he realized, yeah, this is the guy who killed your father. We can actually put aside our differences. This is personal. And he let him borrow the Red Morpher just that once. And that's the thing, that's the American version that they had to, apparently dumb down for the dumb American kids. Even that handled that so much better than this.
Air quote, by the way. Because we like Power Rangers.
And the American SPD is really good.
Oh, yeah, I was.
Especially Doggy Kruger, because the Japanese version's head looks stupid as hell.
All right, let's not get too off topic, but...
That's all I wanted to say about it.
All right, well, that's the thing. Just walking into this, I'm a huge fan of American Power Rangers, but also I kind of figured, I've gotten so used to all this, American censored campy corniness. If there was one thing I was not expecting walking into Kamen Rider, the uncensored Japanese version, is that it would be less serious and the jokes would be less funny. That is not what I was expecting.
That's not what I signed up for.
And it's not even just a culture difference thing. There was no
punchlines.
They were really jokes. Forced. Get it? This is funny, you guys. Jokes.
Yeah.
Play the chuckle fuck music.
That music.
Yeah, as I was saying in the beginning of the video, seriously, just try to find that theme. Make it your intro. If you're listening to this right now...
If anything, it's going to be the transition into this part.
Okay, all right, transition into this part.
Yeah.
All right, if you're listening to this video right now and they don't have that sound, well, darn it, they should have. Not enough can be said about that. Whenever they're trying to be funny, they just have a funny theme song. Well, they quote funny theme song. It literally is just the most, just insultingly derpy thing you ever heard. They're just announcing that they're trying to be funny now. It's like they come in...
It's like they put on the laugh light in the corner, the please laugh sign.
It's like they come in with a silver platter, you pull it open, and it's just a piece of paper with the word funny written on it. They're saying, like, presenting the joke.
But I think we're getting off the character topic here. I think we're done with Daisuke, because I will say this.
Oh, yeah, we haven't gotten into Daisuke being the worst writer.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
actually. Kamen Rider, what do they call him?
Dragonfly.
Yeah. Well, no, that was the name of his actor. What was his rider name?
Dragonfly. Kamen Rider Dragonfly.
No, Kamen Rider Drake.
Drake, my bad. Oh. See, but that's how, like, irrelevant he is, because he only shows up so much. He's probably the rider that gets the least amount of screen time, in person and in suit.
And when he does, he's getting bodied.
Yeah, so
yeah, I mean, like, his little funny bits were cute, but honestly, he could have just been, like, a guest star for, like, 2 episodes.
You really can't blame me in that case for, like, forgetting his name sometimes. Like, it's just...
Yeah, because he
was so irrelevant in the grand scheme of things.
And he's a part of, like, some of the inconsistencies of this show. Is like, I don't want to be a writer, yet I still carry around this fucking Zector commander.
You could throw it in the fucking ocean.
It's literally just like a handle thing that he could just throw away and get rid of or give to someone. He could have shown up for 2 episodes, been like, I'm not cut out for this anyway, and gave it to someone.
Well, no. Yeah, they don't really explain anything about him. Just, he's kind of funny. He's a makeup artist. And every time he says the word henshin, you watch him get his ass kicked.
Because his fighting style is terrible. They didn't think it out at all. He always has the gun in his right hand, and he tries to punch you with his left.
Yeah, his weapon is a dragonfly-shaped gun. Which, I'm thinking, okay, then I'm expecting some kind of, like, Wild West gunslinger style stuff. Or, at least a sniper. But, yeah, as Leon just said, he runs up to people with his gun and then wonders why he gets his ass kicked.
Yeah, going back to Ryuki, there's a rider in that series called Kamen Rider Zolda, who's all about just shooting you, and guess what he never really does? Unless if he has to, get into punch-ups.
And he has like a thing on the side of his belt that he can freaking put his gun on, so that if he has to have a punch-up, he has both of his hands.
That's right. And he has a myriad of other weapons that, can keep himself away from others. In fact, his finishing move is just... you'll see that later, Casey. I'm not going to spoil that for you, but... Okay. Like, his move is...
But, yeah, just getting back to Drake, he's really wasn't even that interesting to watch fight either. Like, all he does is just shoot things. And his finisher move, rider shooting, he charges his gun up and then shoots it.
That's it. He's just a shooting man.
Like,
who doesn't shoot much.
That and, like, his costumes were kind of awful, too.
Yeah, they weren't good.
I kind of liked it.
Eh.
Not as good as the B, though.
But overall, it's very, very much a waste of a rider slot because he's very much not used. He has some okay plots here and there. And again, he can be pretty funny, but, he's
not used, and as a rider... he's underdeveloped in every way, from his fighting style to just him being there, period.
He doesn't even have a semblance of the plot. I'll spoil the whole damn thing for you right now. The little girl has amnesia. He finds her parents, so then she has to go away, because part of that means she forgets him. But then she remembers him, and then just leaves her parents to go hang out with him again. The end.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, was I paraphrasing too much? Did I miss any crucial plot points there?
He fell in love with a worm at one point, and that didn't work out.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, but... Well, that's not really his plot. That was just a thing that happened one episode.
Yep.
Which, yeah, that was just like...
That was more the worm's plot than his.
Yeah, that's the thing. The fucking worm had more of a character, more of a plot than he did. He was basically there just to, finish off her plots.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, no, that's pretty much all of it.
That's him. So let's move on.
I wish they would have given him a kicking style or something, or ricochet bullets, or something interesting.
More gun weapon things, more firing modes.
I'm not saying everyone who picks up a gun has to be Christian Bale, but come on, you could have done something.
Yeah. Which brings us now to Kamen Rider Sasword, aka Kamishiro Tsurugi.
Probably the biggest waste out of all the characters.
That sigh I just had is that. Just.
Yeah, that's the sound I made when I finished.
What a waste.
Well, I was saying that was the sound I made when I finished the last episode of Kabuto and I realized this is what I just watched. This is what I just spent all those days watching. This is what I just sat through 48 episodes of. For that.
You really hate me, don't you? Well, I love you. I want you to know that.
Well, we're watching a better one now, so...
Good. So let's all forget about the past.
Well, I don't know that yet, so this one better be better, because... Yeah, as I've said quite a few times, you have to save Kamen Rider for me, because this is my first impression. You showed me this one.
I'm good at things. What can I say?
Alright, so yeah, Saw Sword. He starts out as basically Soji's Mary Sue counterpart. And they spend the whole episode trying to find out who's best via fucking sports.
Spoiler, the answer is Kabuto.
Yeah. Answer's always Soji. And so he gets outclassed in Mary Sue so hard that he becomes shit tier. Like,
I mean, shit tier.
Like, when this man is introduced, he's wearing a nice suit. He's carrying around a sword.
He has a butler.
Yeah, he has a butler. He is presented, at least in all regards, as Kabuto's equal. Then, a few episodes in, he's now...
They seem to forget about that. Because honestly, in the first episode he's introduced, he, in all the sports that they play and everything, he's actually kind of on par with Kabuto, like, more or less.
Yeah, he goes from that to a few episodes in, he's dressed as Cupid, face first into a garbage can.
Or dressed as a fucking grade school child. trying to figure out what commoners like.
Yeah, I mean, he was actually kind of funny at some points too, but after a while, they weren't even just, we weren't laughing with him, we were laughing at him, because,
it was funny, and then it got sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. It got really sad.
They went from just, making jokes about how disconnected he is, with commoners and all that stuff, to now it's just kind of pathetic.
He was funny, and then he was pathetic, and then he died.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Right before the end, they try to make him serious again, but no, you can't do that. You can't have 30 episodes of you fucking humiliating this guy with just the most just god-awful, unfunny, stupid, embarrassing things you could do to this poor actor, and then try to pass him off as a serious character.
A tragic character.
Yeah, a tragic character. They probably filmed like that. They filmed his intro, and then they filmed his death in the same day, and then they must have decided he was going to become a joke.
What's the name of that shitty, bunny character from Star Wars that no one likes?
Jar Jar.
Yeah.
Jar Jar Binks.
You can't turn Batman into Jar Jar Binks and then try to 180 it at the last second.
Yeah.
That's pretty accurate. Yeah, and even in rider form, he was very, very competent from the start. I mean, he had a sword, he was cool. Even in, his armor form, on occasion, he'd use his unique armored form thing.
He has these tubes on his arms, and they turn into tendrils and grab things, which could be useful, but he only uses it, once or twice.
They never really capitalize on that, but, I mean, I actually liked his armored form better than Cast Off.
Yeah, the scorpion tail on his head was a little much.
Yeah, I think that's really what killed it. Otherwise...
It looked fine otherwise.
I like this cast-off form better, but all in all, I don't really like his armor as a whole.
I think Cast Off, really, it was just the scorpion thing on his head that killed it. With the armor on, for some reason, I just really like the tubes and stuff.
Yeah, it's very nice. But...
Yeah, him and his inconsistent power level. Sometimes he'll be, there's a point where he just stopped using his Zector and just was using a normal sword.
His family sword, Discalibur.
Discalibur. This is an actual joke they made. And it's... I say this from the bottom of my heart. That is not even close to the worst joke they make.
Mm-hmm.
Discalibur. That's the punchline.
Yep.
And
it's part of the Discabil family.
Discalibur. They seriously built that up to be a punchline, and it goes downhill from there.
And he was taking out actual worms with it. And it was like, wow, are they going to make him cool again? No. No. They don't.
Well, I'm still in like the little bit of the gray area where it's like, okay, he's doing some stupid stuff, but we don't know how bad he actually gets yet. I think that's just like where it kind of starts. The downhill spiral of Tsurugi. And also forgot to mention, Tsurugi is, in fact, a worm, and he doesn't know this.
He keeps having flashbacks of the worm that came in and killed his sister, and then, like, the worm starts walking towards him, and he can't remember anything after that.
But then
it turns out he was that worm, and he actually...
No, it turns out he couldn't remember it because the worm killed him, too, and now he's that worm.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He is the worm that killed himself.
And his sister.
Yeah.
Yeah. A very interesting concept. If only they, like, capitalized on that more than a few times peppered in the series.
Listen, they don't really explain it all that much, just exactly how worms work. Or, what the actual difference is between the worms and natives. Or, why... Like, some... what it actually means for a person to be a worm. Because there's some characters who are... like good characters who are worms, and they survive the whole series, and the other characters who just, upon finding out they're a worm, commit suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And the narrative pretty much plays up as like, oh yeah, no, it was a necessary loss. Like, but what about that guy? He's been a worm the whole time. He's still alive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing, like when Tsurugi Sasword, when he finds out he's a worm, his life is already in the shitter, and, it just ruined, his one true chance at love or something like that. Like, he goes in and just, like, bodies this one character who's been just, like, bodying all the main characters up until this point. He just walks in, just slaps the guy down and says, I'm in charge now. And it's like, holy shit, he's got to be serious again. And then he dies that episode.
Mm-hmm.
Or, like, one episode after that.
Yep.
And and it's a really tragic death. Like, right before the final moments before he dies, you see him just envisioning all the ways his life could have been better. And it's like, this is actually really good. Why
didn't it was like this the whole time?
Why did you just shit on this character for the whole series and then try to do it now?
It's like they found the rest of the script at the last second.
Like, I would have accepted if his one joke was just, I'm rich and I don't know commonplace things. That'd be whatever. It wouldn't be that funny, but it'd be better than, dressing him up as a magician and walking around with the two brooding sadsters.
That's far from the worst thing he ever did, but...
It is an example of one, though.
Well, to put it this way, I'm pretty sure if the actor who played Tsurugi ever goes back and watches the show, he would be embarrassed with himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Speaking of the two sadsters, can we move on to them now?
Yeah. So, Punch Hopper and Kick Hopper. The Fallen Bees.
Yep.
Yagamura and Kageyama.
Both characters who basically got, kicked out of being the bee by Kabuto. The first guy, Yagamura, he basically just disappears for, like, the whole series. And then all of a sudden, he comes back wearing, he
shows up just sitting on the ground.
Wearing a black leather trench coat with one of the sleeves ripped off, covered in chains.
And boots with spurs.
I think one boot had a spur.
No, they both had spurs, but...
Okay.
I think sometimes one boot had a spur, and other times both of them had spurs.
But that's the thing, like, at first I wanted to laugh, but it was just so over-the-top edgy that it kind of worked. And then Kageyama, the Kamen Rider Starscream, after he gets his ass kicked and loses his powers, he gets to become Punch Hopper.
And live in the darkness.
Yep. And then he gets a black leather trench coat and rips off the opposite sleeve, and he starts calling the other guy Aniki. Aniki,
brother.
Big brother.
Yeah, big bro.
I guess that's like, the non-creepy way of saying Oni-chan. Or I guess that's what boys are supposed to say.
No, that's
or
like
boys or tomboys.
Oh, whatever. I don't
that's
care.
like the gangster way of saying big bro.
Yeah. So
whatever. I'm not a weeb. I don't understand these cultural differences. But he just starts calling him brother all the time, and there's the best of buddies. Their entire plot, having become Kick Hopper and Punch Hopper,
is just to be around.
Yeah, that's basically it. Just they're apparently powered by
sadness
just being
and angst.
Yeah, they're powered by angst. So every time one of them starts getting hopeful about something, the other one has to jump in, with their dramatic music playing the second they jump in. What are you doing? We live in the darkness. We walk the path to hell. The light, that's not meant for us. It's only going to make us weaker.
And then they walk off.
And then the other one does the exact same shit, and the other one's like,
I know.
What did you just get through telling me? Like, what are you doing with all that hope? Get back to being sad.
But I do love when they showed up, like,
to body Kabuto and Kagami.
They already got beat up, and then Punch Hopper and Kick Hopper show up and just beat their asses some more, and they fuck off.
For no reason, just because it's like, we gotta let off some
steam. Angry.
Or because, they kind of fucking hate those guys.
That too, yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's not to say that they aren't cool when they fight. Actually, I will say that. Most of the time, they are pretty cool when they're fighting. Just their characters...
With their, like, classic-looking, they're more classic-looking suits, but, like, actually worse suits.
Yeah.
Because they can't clock up.
They can't.
Yeah, so canonically, they appear later, but they're not as powerful as the guys who have already been there.
And you never find out where they get their Zectors from.
We never find out where the rest of them get theirs from either.
Right. Other than Kagami, because Zect has it. But then how did Zect get it?
The natives made them.
They don't... Yeah, they're just... The natives made them, that's it. They don't explain how any of this shit works.
Yeah.
But, no, yeah, I mean, it was kind of cool how they looked like old-school Kamen Riders in a modern series. But that's basically it. They kind of just went around and just beat people up for no real reason.
And then being angsty.
Yep, being very angsty.
And, yeah, since we're just going to wrap everything up with spoilers... Kageyama, Punch Hopper. Towards the end of the series, some convoluted shit happens, and
he turns into a worm, and then he dies.
He turns into a worm and says, like, "Oh no, Nikki, I'm a worm. You have to kill me." And then he does.
And then it's unknown what happened to fucking Yagamura. Apparently, the series didn't care enough to say. Apparently, he shot up to the moon and became one with the darkness of the moon. The one light that they can go to, that they cling to. Fuck this show.
That doesn't actually happen, Bob, just ranting, but yeah.
I know.
Well,
that was like the one speech that he had at the end where he's holding the dead Kageyama, or the dying Kageyama, and it's like, look, there it is. The one light that we can go to, that we've been trying to get to. The moon.
Here's a postcard. You never see us again.
Yep. I don't feel sad. I don't.
Yeah, no, I really don't feel sad. Afterwards, I just sat there thinking, like, whatever. Why was that necessary? But,
another two character archetypes just kind of forcefully shoved into the story.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. Besides, Kagami and Tendo, none of these characters actually mattered. At all.
Yeah.
They had their own plots, air quote, but in the grand scheme of things, the overall plot, they really were not necessary at all.
Yeah.
They were pretty much just there to sell toys.
Right. And let's get into the plot, and believe us guys, this is brief.
Wait, we got one more rider.
We do?
Yep. Black Kabuto.
All right, yeah, I'll make this one quick.
No.
So, yeah, what's called this? There's
a really late clone entry into the story that amounts to nothing, no one, and bullshit.
This is exactly how it goes down. He is, like it sounds, he is a dark version of Kabuto. But the thing is, towards the last couple of episodes, Kabuto gets, another upgrade to become Hyper Kabuto, and he gets new weapon, new powers, and just lots of cool new stuff. Dark Kabuto doesn't have any of that.
Nor does he get it.
Ever.
So it's literally just, why are you even remotely a threat? You're just a weaker version of a character who's already there.
Like, here's how they screwed up. Freaking Dark Kabuto comes in and I'm going to take your girlfriend to the end of the universe world time now. Hyperspace. Goodbye. And freaking Tendo is like, no, you don't. And so he travels there. And then they have a really cool fucking rider kick clash. And Tendo gets his ass kicked. He literally gets kicked back into regular time. And we're like, oh shit, what's going to happen? Guess what? Tendo happens. Tendo just... He has Hyper Clock Up now and Hyper Kabuto. Kick. And Dark Kabuto is just base Kabuto. Can't beat him.
Just, is shit going wrong for Kabuto? Better just marry Sue the fucking Hyper Zector into reality.
And put that fucking toy sword together.
Well, we'll get to that later, but... Well, that's the thing. If Dark Kabuto appeared, like, 20 episodes ago, maybe that'd be kind of interesting. You know, before regular Kabuto got an upgrade that made him better than Dark Kabuto. Mm-hmm. You know, if they were actually equal, maybe that might have been something. If you want, you know, your evil version of Kabuto fighting the other guys.
If he showed up earlier and was like a constant like threat throughout the series that Kabuto had to overcome
that would have
over time,
yeah.
Then yeah, but it's not.
Or at least could have given like other characters the vindication of defeating Kabuto without defeating, you know, Tendo Sochi.
Yeah.
Finger point.
That too.
Finger point. So
finger point trademark.
So let's get into the plot. The premise basically is essentially a meteorite hit Shibuya. From the meteor became worms, which are this series' versions of the typical kaijin monsters that you'd see in every other Kamen Rider series. They're like these green, gross things. And they molt. And it's gross.
And then they become more unique monsters that are actually a threat.
It's not really even that gross.
Yeah, the costume design is a little more like...
Well, yeah, they're convincingly monstrous. I mean, it's kind of gross where after they kill people, they leave them in like a puddle of Nickelodeon slime.
Either that or wood at one point. There was one that turned a dude into wood.
They look like just walking bug boogers.
Yeah, usually they just leave people in like a pile of Nickelodeon slime, and you have to wonder the actor's like, God, why am I doing this?
And yeah, so basically Zect is formed.
The worst
military anything ever.
The worst organization ever. For any use.
Yeah, just the worst. And they have to combat the worms somehow. And they create a system called the Masked Rider system, which, you know, allows...
They have their jobbers, like Casey said, they have the dudes with the giant gun arms who get bodied by the worms. And then you have the better versions of those guys with the guns from the shadow. And so then... Zek's organization, it's higher ups. It's like the only person whom you know is a higher up is like the commander, who is Kagami's dad, and then everyone else is like place in Zect is fuzzy and weird.
I hold the proud position of
people join and then leave like one episode after another.
And I guess, like, before we get more into...
Kabuto himself joins and betrays them and gets hired again.
Yeah, they're terrible. But before we continue with Zect, I just want to point out that what I said about the story, that's kind of it. It's the premise. Shit kind of happens. More things are revealed. Not really. No. Not, no. Just no. There's very little actual plot. Most of the episodes are kind of just like, hey, what's going on with these characters? Hence why I prioritize talking about the characters before the actual plot, because it's very thin.
I mean, the actual plot isn't, you know, when they reveal the secrets that we didn't know from the start, they pretty much do all of it in like the last 3 episodes, just like Machine Gun Delivery.
You're a worm, and you're a worm, and that's a worm, and that's a native. What's a native? We'll explain that later.
Oh, hey, this guy was the main villain the whole time. You didn't even know.
Is he gonna be an ultimate worm boss? No, he's a fucking jobber.
So, yeah, then, like, the last few episodes, there was apparently a first generation of worms that came on an earlier meteorite.
Called the
natives. But they're not evil, except that they are, but not always. Like, I'm not saying that they were building up Kagami's dad as, like, the leader of the shady organization, like he was going to be the main villain. You thought maybe Zect is up to some kind of conspiracy, but no, they
was
actually
just sitting up in his office evilly tap dancing as shit's transpired.
His father was double, like, control of everything. Not only was he the leader of Zect, he was the chief of police.
Yeah, who we barely saw do anything in this whole series.
Like, they build him up to be the main villain so fucking hard.
Sitting in his office saying shady fucking, like, cryptic shit.
Well, again, doing shit like burning things and tap dancing. I think the tap dancing part is the one that I remember the most because it just was dumb.
It still kind of worked. I mean, but yeah. They build him up for so long, and then it turns out, no, some new guy comes in. First of all, like, when you meet this guy, like...
He's just a dude in a jacket.
He really is, but I guess it's just the fact that he's acting so relaxed around the big boss is what's supposed to tip you off.
Yeah.
But yeah, he turns out to be the mastermind behind everything.
He is the leader of the natives, and is like, hey, and then...
And his whole plan is... the humans and natives cannot coexist, so he's going to turn all humans into natives. Like, yeah, they can. I mean, that guy's a native. He's been living with them for like 20 years.
He works for Zect.
Pretty much. But, yeah, and we can now, since the plot is really kind of like, we'll just skip to the end, what happens. So, the natives show up, and then...
Head native honcho is all like, hey, now I run Zect now. And then Kagami's dad just starts kissing boots and being all like, let me work under you, even though I was the big bad throughout this entire thing.
Which was very embarrassing to see because he was so like, you didn't know what this guy was thinking. You didn't know what this guy was going to do. He could like set off his evil plan at any point. No, he's reduced to just kissing boot.
I think that really is just the best word to describe all these characters, endgame. Embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's not just disappointing, but it's not just disappointing how much they built them up and how little they delivered, but it's actually just embarrassing. Like, if I were one of those actors and they told me I had to do that, I would feel, like, disrespected. Like, I just played up this character for this long, this well, and you're gonna make him do this?
It's very, very terrible. And so, basically, from there on, just like Zect starts handing out these necklaces that make it, make it so people who are...
Well, first they make worms, like, they finally announce it to the general public that worms are a thing.
Yeah. It's finally a public known thing.
Yeah, they send out worm detecting spray, and then they apparently kill all of them.
Mm-hmm. No, the worms like make the worm spray makes them like sneeze and like not be able to control their human transformation.
I thought the point of that was that like it would actually turn people into worms who weren't originally worms.
No, that was
not the necklace.
No. I'm saying like the spray also was part of that.
No, the spray exposes worms.
Yeah, that was all that was.
Oh, I thought the point of that was that like somehow that like they were doing it to worms who weren't actually evil, like
they were doing it to everyone, and then the natives came in and it was like, you can't be doing that, guy. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's what I mean. Like, I thought the point was, when you see, the family together, and then, the father just turns into a worm, and he's not attacking anyone. He's just like, he's just, sad that his family's running away from him now.
Mm-hmm.
So that can mean either, the worms are not all just, they're not all just monsters going around killing people. Or, once they do, they assimilate the humans so well that it might as well have been that same person to begin with.
Some of them assimilate the humans so well, and some of them, know that they're worms and are just like, moo ha 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 ha, I eat people.
Yep.
Yeah, but, the point is, some of the worms are absolutely not a problem. But the whole thing was that, when one guy found out he was a worm, it's just such a terrible thing that he needed to kill himself. And, the main villain's plan was that, the native worms and humans cannot possibly coexist. Except they
the ones
totally
that
do.
Were.
And that's the thing, you would think, with the necklaces...
the one that works for Zect.
Yeah. That's the thing, you would think with the necklaces turning people into worms, that would be just... Oh, we're just specifically spoiling this one episode towards the end. No, that happens 3 episodes towards the end, and that is literally, the only plot That's pretty much the only thing that moves the plot for, 30 episodes.
And this is the part we're talking about where Tendo runs around and does a bunch of stuff without telling anybody.
So, yeah, somehow Tendo figured out that's what the necklaces do. He goes destroying them, but he doesn't tell anyone why. Even though he could totally tell them.
He literally runs into a crowd of people, all ridered out, and just starts shooting boxes.
That's it. And then everybody's like, why?
And everybody's like, this crazy guy.
So shocking to see Tendo doing this.
Yeah, they try to play up this. So, has Kamen Rider Kabuto gone rogue?
Really?
Well, first of all, it's your series is going to end in 3 episodes, so probably not. And
I love the whole caught him red-handed clock up shit. That was hilarious.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing we kind of glazed over is clocking up.
Yeah, just...
in effect, that gets shittier looking and shittier looking as the series progresses.
So it's whatever. Basically, when you clock up, you're going fast.
Mm-hmm.
You become Sonic. You go fast. Too fast.
And the first,
Not Sonic. You become Shadow. What? Is that his speed? No. He must be using the Chaos Emerald to warp. But, anyway.
And the worm, that's how they fight the worms, because the worms, when they molt, can also clock up and go really fast.
They could sometimes, and then apparently they all forgot they could do it.
Yep.
So, yeah, clock up...
Or the bloodline just degrades over time.
Sure, let's go with that. Yeah, when they use clock up, they go so fast that, time slows down around them. That, raindrops become stationary, bullets fired out of a gun are going at, 5 miles an hour.
They had, when you saw they had budget, they had budget. The editing was on point, the slow raindrops, the slow leaves falling...
I mean, it wasn't perfect because...
It wasn't perfect, but it looked really good.
Yeah, I mean, you could, if you're really going to be that guy, which I'm going to be that guy right now.
Part, with all the olive oil bottles suspended in the air.
Oh, yeah, no, there were some beautiful scenes.
Yeah, and they even, they had it edited so when they walked into raindrops, they would, explode off of them.
I mean, it wasn't perfect because technically, if you jump, you should fall in slow motion. And, explosions shouldn't happen at normal speed. But that's just nitpicking. For the most part,
it was a cool effect at first.
Yeah, they were animated beautifully, and I guess that's supposed to be their way of hiding all the worm battles from the public. In Ryuki, pretty much all the battles occur inside of a mirror or something like that.
The mirror world or whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this one, it's happening so fast that normal people can't perceive it.
And fucking Soji's whack ass fucking stiff ass final fight walk ass fighting style.
Yeah, it's always a kick to
watch.
Yeah,
just I guess we could briefly mention everyone's fighting style. Kabuto, he walks towards you with his hands down, but he will counterpunch you before you punch him, or just dodge everything you do effortlessly.
And then look at you like what?
While walking slowly towards you for 3 seconds.
Yep.
Rinse, repeat.
Yep. Kamen Rider Gattack,
but I love his,
Kagami.
I love his simple ass rider kick where it's fuck you.
Yeah, just a really powerful, really crisp roundhouse kick where he actually brings his foot down on your head. Just a really nice kick. But yeah, pretty much Tendo's fighting style is just whatever. I don't have to try.
Mm-hmm. I'm perfect.
And then he just does just a really lazy punch, and then just slowly walks towards you as you stumble back.
Yeah, just like 2 or 3 piece, and then looks at you for a while, and then final fight walks towards you, and then 3 more punches, maybe a kick here and there.
Yeah, he barely ever kicked. But yeah, then after he beats someone, he does this pose where he just slowly points up to the sky until, like the sun's behind him. Mm-hmm. Which also, whenever he does that, whether or not he's in rider form, the sun is somehow always behind him. Which, again, like, when they first started, it was actually hilarious.
Yep.
Let's say, like, he does one, like, later down the series where he's doing that, and, like, his dramatic music plays, and Kagami actually says, yeah, I know, walk in the path of heaven, ruler everything, come on, let's go. And he basically just like, cuts off his triumphant theme song. Like, he does this shit all the time, but later in the series, he just cuts off the theme song and says, like, no, we don't have time for your theme song. We gotta go. Yeah. If this was a comedy, it would actually be kind of funny. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Kagami himself, Kamen Rider Gattack, he just kind of goes in, he's
about that reckless fisticuff style.
Yeah, like, he just, like, charges at people.
He Hurricane Ron's like a worm at one point.
Yeah. He'll drop kick you with both legs. He actually tries grappling people sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah, and it usually actually works. He just does like really sloppy wrestling moves.
And like I said earlier, his armored form has twin cannons, so he uses that to wipe out like smaller fry. And he has 2 different finishing moves. He has his rider kick and his rider cutting. Rider cutting uses both the swords that he has on his back, and his rider kick is a really nice looking jump kick.
Yeah, when he casts off, his guns turns into 2 swords on his shoulders.
Yeah, his rider kick, he like just jumps up in the air and he just does like a really
kind of like a sideways scissor kick sort of deal.
I say just like a really simple karate jump roundhouse kick. But he doesn't spin through, like a jump side kick. Like, he doesn't spin through. It's just a really simple snap kick.
Kind of like fucking K-Dash's kick with more respect for gravity.
Yep. Which I thought that was kind of cool. They both have rider kicks that are just different. But then later on in the series, they start just doing the usual,
Sometimes that's only when they do a double rider kick usually.
Yeah.
When they do the regular ass rider kick.
They did the regular one by themselves a few times.
Yeah, not frequently, but it happens. And as for other fighting styles, we already touched on Drake, so we don't need to go to him.
How much his...
Oh, yeah, his fighting style, which consists of losing.
Both of the B's, Punch Hopper and Kick Hopper, both respectively use either kicks or punches. Yagamura uses kicks, and Kageyama uses punches. More like a boxing style, kind of.
Well, I mean, when he was the B, he would still kick a little bit, but it was mostly punches. But that was especially effective because
Kamen Rider punches and like rolling dodges and stuff.
Yeah, Kamen Rider the B, he had this really nasty B-shaped, bee stinger shaped spike on his right hand,
right?
And he would just nail people with that. Yeah, and his super move, instead of Rider Kick, which I guess he might have been able to do, but he would usually just activate Rider Sting, where he'd point the thing out, it would extend a bit, start glowing, crackling with electricity, and then just ram the thing into people.
Yeah.
Shit looked like it hurt.
Mm-hmm. And as for Sawsword, he basically swordplay. As simple as that. Rider Slash looks really damn cool when he does it because Scorpion Poison comes out of the blade, and I thought that was a really cool touch.
And when he does it from far away, he shoots a sword wave.
Yep. Very simple, not much to talk about when it comes to like...
Yeah, it's cool. He swings a katana.
Yeah.
It's... I mean, there's not much to talk about. We've all seen it before, but, it's...
It works.
Mm-hmm. It's timeless.
Yeah. And so, anyway... We kind of veered off the plot for a second there, but just shows...
Did we? Was there
Not
a plot?
really. I think the more we talk about the show, the more the plot comes to light anyway. It's all character interaction and bum-ass Zek being bum-ass Zek.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure we pretty much summed up pretty much all the plot. Kabuto's main thing, he's trying to take care of this one girl for no apparent reason, but then she turns out to be a sister, but then she turns out to be a worm, and then she gets taken away, but then she comes back, and then it's all better. The end.
Yep. And Dark fucking Kabuto is just... Dark Kabuto gets beat up twice. And he's still walking around in the normal world just being a sad sack. And then he gets captured by the main bosses, and then they use him to power a signal machine
to turn everybody who wears necklaces into worms.
Yeah.
Not that it already can't, but it speeds the process up significantly.
As the main native guys on the loudspeaker / big TV saying, "Hey, I'm going to turn you all into worms now."
But I guess, like, by then it was too late, because literally every single human in the entire world is wearing one of those worm-detecting necklaces.
Somehow. Or just in Japan.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, then that's a pretty short-sighted plan, because like, now we've taken over all of Japan. It's not like they would ever bomb this country.
We've taken over Japan, the strongest country with the biggest military might.
Yeah, good job. That's kind of thinking big there. So basically,
I mean, like, God, like, I'm pretty sure Toei wishes they could sell something that would be that popular.
Yeah, and then so Dark Kabuto gets kidnapped. Everybody's like hating on normal Kabuto to the point where Kagami ends up actually having to fight him, and so they fight,
being backed by
Shadow, and fucking rubble falls on Kabuto. Like, yeah, we're supposed to be worried that he's dead.
Is Kabuto dead in the last 2 episodes?
And then also we find out that this one guy who worked with Kagami's dad very closely, Mishima, is in fact a really strong worm.
Or was being developed into a really strong worm
I'm not sure.
The series.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we find out he's a worm or if he just became one at the last minute. That's the thing. They don't actually.
They don't explain.
Basically, Kagami's dad, the guy who looked like the final boss, his right-hand man is just this angry little fuck who just... That's like... Actually, no. Technically, he was the second B. Oh, no, wait, no. He was the fourth B.
But only for a minute.
Literally for just like a few seconds.
Kageyama got bodied, and he's like, "Listen, you shit. This is how you do it." He does it, and then gives him the Zector back.
Normally, the Zectors have to choose you. The Zector didn't choose him. He just jumped up, grabbed it, and then just put it on and became the B.
Listen, you little shit. You're gonna listen to me.
Yeah, and he was pretty much better than everyone else. So I'm like, why doesn't he stick with this? But no.
And then he goes back to just being the guy who stares angrily at everything and does nothing.
Actually, I think the point was that he was originally native, because also, like, throughout the series, we see him, keep having to take these pills. Mm-hmm. I guess the point is, like, if he stopped, his worm form would be so powerful, he would just turn into it.
I guess we can make assumptions, but again, they don't explain.
Actually, no, I don't think we're quite done with the characters, because there were 2 worms that were pretty much characters.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And there were a bunch of side characters that aren't even worth talking about.
Yeah, no.
Like military chick with wire. She was around. That's it.
They tried to shoehorn her.
Yeah, they tried to bring her in, and like they really tried to make her a thing, but she wasn't going to become a thing.
They tried to make her a thing, and Nintendo ruined her too.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's right.
She was like a badass, and then like trying to be like the newest, like Neo Shadow, basically. Like,
yeah. And then,
eat this omelet. Oh no! Now I'm a klutz now, and I will do no more fighting for the rest of the series.
And so, the worm characters. One of them being Tamiya Ryoko, the one female big shot worm that you see for the majority of the series.
Who walked around with, how many of them were there? Like
a bunch.
3?
Yeah, I think
usually a good entourage.
Yeah, it was a pair of 3. But I think she was specifically such an effective villain for me. This is actually kind of a dumb point, but there's this one plant over in the bank I go to all the time, where they have this white prickly thing sticking out of it. And every time like something touches it, pollen just like flies out in every direction. It's the creepiest fucking thing. It just screams, "Do not touch." And she's like made of those things.
Yeah.
I suppose a very personal point that only applies to me, but for probably more so than most viewers, she just had this tremendous aura of, I don't want to touch it.
You sinister bitch.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, for the most part, she was just...
Yeah.
She had this big, dumb-looking crab claw thingy, and she just beat everyone.
There's really not much to her character other than when she was a human, she used to be an opera singer.
And she showed up, and she was probably the fourth customer at the restaurant.
Yep. And then she has a thing with Kamen Rider Drake.
With Daisuke.
Daisuke, he's a character. They basically brought him back just to wrap up her story.
Well, she would show up every now and again to body folks, and then freaking Tendo.
Well, not just now and then. She was like pretty consistently bodying them.
Yeah, and then no, I'm just saying every now and then she would show up, and then when she showed up, she would body folks.
Yeah, actually, that's the weird thing. For a while, she was working with Kageyama, as part of ZEC, the organization designed to take down the worms. Who Kabuto was interfering with their job.
Actually, I don't think she was working with. Was she working?
Yeah,
she came into the office. Yep, she was working with ZEC.
So that's the thing. Kabuto was getting in the way of their job of taking down the worms so much. He was such an interference to their plan to take down the worms that they teamed up with the worms to take him down.
When they could have just stopped fucking with Tendo.
He was getting in the way of them destroying the worms so badly, they decided to help the worms to fight. What?
Yep.
So yeah, fucking Tendo used his Hyper Zector and pulled out his big dumb toy sword, where you put on all your collectible Zector bugs, and then he shot a beam into her face, and her bug side caught amnesia. Her worm side caught amnesia, and then the human memories were just like, well, what was I doing? I guess I'll just do what I've been doing from where I left off.
And yeah, it was actually a pretty touching final episode, I guess. Oh, well, a finale of her character.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, all things considered, they actually handled her pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, like, it's... I mean, you guys probably wouldn't get this because you didn't play it, but when I saw that she was an opera singer, but she was really a monster, I don't know why, but it really reminded me of Parasite Eve.
Oh.
Because
I see that.
In the very beginning of the game, you have that opera singer chick who turns out she's a horrible monster and kills almost everybody in the stadium and turns into this gross creature. Like, it gave me that vibe, which was cool, but...
Well, then, that's another personal experience, though. I imagine that's a bit more relatable to that one creepy plant in my bag.
But moving on to the
best worm.
The best worm who had the least development, Reiji Nogi. And I only know that name because I'm on the wiki right now. They don't say his name once.
Fucking Dio worm.
And he was played by the actor who played the main character, who also, I don't think, had a name in Versus.
None of his main character... Yeah, no one in...
Tak Sakaguchi. That's his actor name.
No one in Versus has a name.
Nobody.
You see,
but in everything, he plays the same character. No exception to this. When he's in human form, he plays the same guy he was in Versus and in Death Trance.
Well, I haven't seen that one, but... Yeah, no, this guy was the fucking hype.
Yep.
There's like nothing to his character. He just goes in and just annihilates everyone.
Apparently, I just looked up in the video game freaking Kamen Rider Bat Ride War, which is basically the Dynasty Warriors Kamen Rider video game. He's the main enemy that they use for Kabuto in that game.
Good.
He's so irrelevant, but he's so cool.
He's so irrelevant, but he's so relevant and he's so cool.
He's literally just around for like the last 5 episodes.
6 episodes. 6, yeah.
Yeah.
And when he just walks up on Kagami and beats him with his cane and then fucking rapid punches him in the chest. The same rapid punch he does in everything that he's ever in ever.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, no, so this guy's walking around with like... I don't know how to put this, but like a not pretentious trench coat, like an actual classy trench. suit.
Like a regular, like, trench coat you can find at Macy's or something.
Yeah, not like, leather.
Like a business trench coat.
Yeah, like a business trench coat. Not a leather, like, look how edgy I am trench coat, but, like, he's actually walking around classy. He's carrying around a cane.
Which he doesn't need, but whatever.
Yeah, whatever. And he just goes around just embarrassing people left and right. like, the problem is, though, they made this guy so fucking powerful, there was really no way they were going to beat him without him just straight up forgetting what his powers were.
And then, yeah.
And then he does. Because, alright, that's the thing, like, we already explained how Clock Up worked. Kabuto, later, he gets an upgrade when he becomes Hyper Kabuto from the Hyper Zector. He gets an ability called, you guessed it, Hyper Clock Up, which is so potent he can apparently literally travel through time. So the first time we see him fight this guy, who Bob said what his actual name was, I forgot, we're going to call him Versus from now on.
Yep. Good.
So, the fight starts, hear him go, chick, Hyper Clock Up. The guy he makes a fist, time freezes, and he apparently just, at a casual pace, outspeeds the guy who could travel through time. I mean, this is like some Barry Allen shit.
Yeah. And I love whenever he fights, he's always like got his arms spread out whenever he's botting someone. Like, what? Yeah. What do you want? I know, I'm the greatest.
No, like, just to emphasize that again, Kabuto is so fast, he can travel through time, and this guy is faster than him. I don't think they realize the implications of that. We're getting into like some DC Comics level bullshit right there.
Yeah.
The writers ceased to care if they were even still caring to begin with.
So now, viewers, you must be wondering, holy shit, he's faster than time travel? Not only does that not make sense, but how could they possibly beat him with such an amazing power? Here's how. He stops using that power.
And so he beats him with his toy sword gun.
But
then he comes back as two different ones. He comes back as twins, and now they both have sinister goatees.
Well, to specify, what Kabuto did was he fired a bunch of homing shots so that once he did his time stop, smacked him around a bit, and once he pressed play again, then the homing shots would hit him, and then he hit him with his bullshit sword.
Yep.
Before, let's just quickly go back to that. That fucking sword. Like, the first time he pulls it out, it's a ridiculous, bulky, unsharpened piece of plastic. But I watch Power Rangers, so I'm completely fine with shit like that.
Yep.
But then Kabuto puts everyone else's Zectors on the sword.
He puts these big, dumb, bulky toy bugs on the sword.
The thing about this is, most of the Zectors are really not that aerodynamic at all.
You can tell when he swings it how gingerly he has to swing it to make sure these things don't just go flying off.
One can only imagine how many takes they had to make.
Before they just had like a separate one with them super glued to the damn thing.
It's so stupid.
But yeah, all right. Well, that's pretty much all there is to that. It's
more about the every Zector, they have all belts. They have a voice change the beetle and but when you hear it coming from the sword, it sounds like they actually recorded it from the toy sword.
Yep.
Yeah, it was bad. So yeah, the sword when they're all attached, it a sword of energy appears around it, and he can swing that.
It's either a big sword of energy, or
he can do that, or he points it at you and it shoots out a tornado for some reason.
Yes.
Maximum hyper typhoon.
Yeah, maximum the adjective, but so yeah.
Maximum Japanese special move.
So yeah, he does a homing shot, and apparently he just assumed that Reiji would not kill him with one time freeze, because he literally has all the time in the world. He could fucking pick you up and throw you inside a volcano, but no, he just figured, he's just gonna smack me around a bit and then he'll press play again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tactics.
Like, I mean, have these guys not seen JoJo's?
Yeah, right? They don't know time. All right.
That's
the whole slow to slower wrists.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, at this point, they don't realize it, but they made something like as broken as. I mean, I guess like not everyone knows the Flash is really that broken, but like go on DC Wiki and like actually look into like the really really dumb shit Wally West can do. But yeah. Anyway, so after he beats him with that, he just stops using the power altogether.
And now uses
he comes
power.
Well, he comes back with the power of I absorb your power, and then I had to ask. Why? Why is that your power now? What was wrong with the one you had before? Like,
did he get so hard that like his counterparts, his split personalities don't know how to do it anymore?
No. This was before the split personalities.
Oh yeah, this is when he got a bigger sword.
Yeah.
And now he can absorb it.
And again, looking up on the wiki, apparently those are considered 3 different worms.
Well, he had the power of quote unquote immortality, which means when he dies, he comes back with a new power. Unfortunately, the new power he gets
sucks
each time like significantly less impressive than the one he had before.
Mm-hmm.
Like before, he could move faster than time travel. That was pretty fucking impressive. Then he gets the power to absorb powers that he gets hit by. Unless he gets hit by 2 of them at once, in which case then he can't absorb it.
And then
that's
he
like
becomes
a phoenix that every time it dies, it gets colder over time.
And then he becomes, and then after
until it just becomes a regular ass eagle.
Yeah. And then after he gets bodied in that form, then he becomes a more unimpressive version of Gemini Man,
where his power is literally
without the Gemini laser.
There's 2 of them now.
Yeah, his power is literally the fact that there's 2 of them.
Yeah.
Like,
look at my evil goatee.
I'll be honest with you, 2 of that is a horrifying concept, but not as horrifying as the fact that one that can stop time travel.
One that can stop a timerist.
no, if it were 2 of the original version, yeah, they'd be fucked. But no, it's just 2, and he doesn't really have any other power besides the fact that he's in 2 places at once.
And then his quote-unquote immortal body is destroyed.
Yeah, when they kill him in that form, then he just dies. So by immortal, he meant 3.
Yep.
He has 3 lives.
Yeah, he's a video game. That it is.
It was actually pretty cool how they killed one of them though. You know, when Kid Copper did rider jump, but while he was on his back, so we actually kicked him into the air.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think we need to start wrapping this up because I feel like that this is just a series of long tangents. But honestly,
we've already explained all we need to explain. Now we're just going like, remember when this dumb thing happened?
Yeah, and I think now we can wrap it up with the topic that we've been waiting to talk about this whole time, and that is the series' weird fetish with cooking.
Yeah,
and how much it loves cooking.
So much cooking.
Well, I mean, does every Kamen Rider series just have some weird little quirk like that?
I mean, there might be, like, for example, in Kamen Rider Wizard, from what my friend Dan tells me, there's a Kamen Rider who really likes to put mayonnaise on everything. Like, they'd be small, contained character quirks, but they wouldn't
It's
be...
not things that will take up entire episodes.
Yeah, that's just a weird thing.
Something
the
that
world doesn't revolve around it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, cooking in this show is like card games and Yu-Gi-Oh! Or, like, Tops and Beyblade.
Or Gundams, and you get the idea. You get the idea. The world revolves around it.
It's basically the second main plot next to the fucking... next to them being writers.
Yeah, this may come as a surprise to you at home, but Soji Tendo is really good at cooking. I know, shocking, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are also other characters who are kind of good at cooking, but not as good as he is. But sometimes they cook something better than him, and it's like, wow, I'm so impressed. See, look at me, I'm being humble. This means I'm not a Mary Sue.
One of the episodes is about a worm who gets a dark cooking knife.
Cooking
and then
Ball Z.
Tendo gets the light cooking knife, and then they have to do Iron Chef.
Yeah, the guy literally goes around to restaurants, defeating them in cooking battles and then taking their dojo sign.
I was about to say, basically dojo bustering their restaurants.
Yep. Basically. So yeah, cooking. Everything is cooking.
My theory is they had to write the script for every single episode in one day, and that guy was fucking starving that day. It's like, oh my god, alright, in this episode they cook this. Oh, and in this episode they marinate a steak for 15 minutes straight.
Oh, and the tofu.
So
much tofu.
In this episode, oh man, I could really go for one of those. Oh, in this episode, oh my god, I'm so hungry.
Harmony.
Oh yeah, this is probably the third time you've heard them screaming tofu. that was an actual punchline at one point.
Yeah.
No, I'm not leaving out any context. It's literally the fact that the character could not pronounce tofu properly.
And he didn't know what tofu was.
The fact that he didn't know what tofu was and he pronounced it as tofu. That was the fucking joke.
And that's
it. There is no other context. That is the entirety of the punchline.
And that's exactly how he said it. Tofu.
The fact that he couldn't pronounce it. That is the entire punchline.
Yep.
That's like when you're watching the Double Dragon cartoon. No, nobody did, but that's not the point. When you're watching the Double Dragon cartoon, and then there's that little short bit at the end of one of the episodes where Jimmy's doing his martial arts poses, and then the little black kid goes, "What are you doing, Jimmy? You look like a slow-mo flamingo."
Even that's funnier.
Yeah, but
even that has more of a setup.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, you kind of personally beat that line to death, but that's...
I'm terrible.
Yes, we've already established that, but... Yeah, there's actually a setup for that. In this, so many times... and of course, it's Tsurugi making this joke. Remember talking about how just, embarrassing he became? Mm-hmm. There would be entire joke setups. They play the music hey, get ready, kids. There's about to be a knee slapper coming right up.
Right now.
And the joke is, he pronounced it wrong. That's the joke.
With a really funny face and said it really funny.
Oh, and of course, they fucking shove the camera in his face as he's doing it.
Yep. As he purses and mugs his face and goes, tofu.
Yeah, it's...
As I die inside.
It's a miracle the poor guy didn't choke on the damn camera.
Yeah. But, so, what can I say about Kamen Rider Kabuto other than it's bad? It's really bad, don't watch it.
It's not just bad, it's wasted.
We don't understand why it's a classic, and also it's wasted potential.
Yeah, it's not just because it's bad, it's because it could have been good. Most of these characters, they were really cool when they started out. The plot actually did seem pretty good. It was the whole thing about, anyone could be a worm. You never know who you can trust. It was almost like a spy thriller when it started out. And then it just became straight up embarrassing. They kept trying to make it fun. They kept trying to add more and more jokes, make it less and less serious. But it's not cultural differences. It's just not funny.
Just a bunch of slapstick chuckle fuckery going around.
Yeah.
Going back to Zect and how they don't work and how their officers can just go and do whatever the fuck they want for whatever. They go around just breaking into museums and shit and stealing stuff so they can catch a worm. How is that legal?
Yeah.
Well, that's it. Kagami and these two other guys, they work for Zect, but so many times they're confronted with such a hard decision where, it turns out for the greater good, we may have to turn our backs on the organization. Are you willing to do this? Are you willing to turn your back on Zect in order to do what's right? Of course he is, because he's the hero. Next episode, they're back working for Zect again, nothing fucking happened.
Yep.
Yeah, but I can say this. It's not the worst Kamen Rider show I've watched. Recently, that's been Blade. And all I'm going to say about that is, I feel like Blade has, almost all the same problems as Kabuto. A lot of great setup, a lot of great, possibilities of where the plot could go, but it wasted on boring characters. And that's worse to say than Kabuto, because as bad as the humor that Kabuto had, at least it was trying to... Not very hard, but it had something, It had quirks.
Trying to throw some brevity or some respite from the seriousness. every now and again.
You can be good and you can be bad, and I'll take something from that. But if you're boring, that's even worse, because then I have nothing to take from that. That's even more of a waste of time. At least we can have these great memories of how terrible it is.
At least Kabuto gives you something to talk about.
It does give you something to talk about. Blade doesn't.
Oh yeah. Same thing. Same reason I watched all of Gundam Seed.
So tiny disclaimer here, don't watch Blade. But also don't watch Kabuto. But if you're looking for something bad to watch, if you're actually looking for something bad to watch, yeah.
No, honestly, I wouldn't even recommend that. No, there are some things you can watch just to be astounded by how bad they are. I wouldn't even give it that much credit, because it actually is, pretty good as it starts out. Kamen Rider Kabuto is not just so bad you can show it to people and they'll be, watch them grimace in disgust at how bad it is. It's disappointing. It doesn't pay off what it looks like. It builds up, but then it doesn't pay off.
It doesn't plane crash, it flounders.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It has good moments here and there, but they're overweighed by the bad moments.
Not even that. You can't just watch Kabuto and just be disgusted by how bad it is. It's just... You watch it, it'll actually seem pretty good. It's only because you get so invested and you see how little it pays off that you're so disappointed. There are probably better things out there to show people just have them be revolted at how bad it is. I guess in the tokusatsu genre, I'd say, Power Rangers Operation Overdrive. When you hear them, rapping the intro song, if that doesn't immediately tell you what you're in for, there you go.
Yeah.
But if you're watching this one, I think maybe the mistake is people will actually mistake it for something good if they watch just the first few episodes.
Yeah.
It's the opposite with a lot of other shows that start out kind of boring, but once you're done, it's just such an experience. This one, there is so much potential that is wasted.
Yeah. So many plot lines and characters that should have been in different shows, under different circumstances and in different scenarios.
And I think the biggest nail in the coffin is just you really can't relate to Tendo. The show tries. Okay, sir, but Tendo is being painted in this, Kagami, he's more of the main character, but the show paints Tendo as that character that is, the main one, the important one, but he's such a Mary Sue, and unfortunately, a lot of people like that. I don't know why. They love the character of archetype of a Mary Sue, because he's so badass, and gets the job done, he never loses, and, that's admirable. No, it's just bad writing. I feel like a good character always has, some type of crisis, is never perfect. No character should be perfect.
Well, yeah, if we're going by, new type magazine polls, they apparently, I shouldn't say the Japanese, but, the people who vote on those kind of polls, they just idolize perfection. They're not interested in seeing a character struggle. It's basically, it's like an arms race to see which character is more broken than the other.
And that's why I rationalize in my head that people like Kabuto, because there are just people out there that really like it because Tendo is broken. He's a Mary Sue, and he's I love Kamina from Gurren Lagann. I love...
He's not that bad.
He's not that bad, you're right. But, he is kind of a Mary Sue when it comes to it. Or, no, wait, maybe, actually...
A better example would be, Kiriyamato.
Kiriyamato, there you go. I don't know why I thought of Kamina, but Kiriyamato, he's a Mary Sue. There are people who love Gundam Seed and people who hate Gundam Seed because he's such a crappy main character.
Well, there are other reasons to hate Gundam Seed.
There are many, and we may one day get into that. One day. But
at least Tendo's not a wishy-washy little shit.
That is true. I can take that away that much. But overall, just Kabuto, man, wasted potential. Could have been good, but it turned out really just subpar. Yeah. And honestly, Casey, I'm glad we got the bad out of the way because it doesn't get worse from here unless if we go to Decade.
But even Decade's only like 31 episodes, so it's like...
That's 31 episodes I'm not going to watch.
And even then, we'd have to watch a whole bunch of other Kamen Rider series before we
Yeah,
watch
I mean,
it anyway.
maybe if we get into more Kamen Rider stuff, maybe we'll look at Decade. But, like, I'm only going to look at it as like, hey, this is a tribute to other past writers.
Yeah, hell of a tribute from what I've heard. But no, you're in the process of trying to save Kamen Rider for me, so let's not go there.
So, on one of these, on one of these podcasts, we will talk about Kamen Rider Ryuki.
So yeah, Kabuto, don't watch it. Like, don't even watch it to be, disgusted by how bad it is. It's not shockingly bad. It's disappointing.
Yep. Yeah, what are your thoughts, Leon? Closing thoughts.
Kagami and Tendo is like, you go to somebody's concert, and then you go to fucking Kagami's concert, and then Tendo pushes the stage into his concert and just has bigger amps and just starts playing louder than him.
Yep.
That's what the show is.
I think you actually had a better analogy before with the restaurant.
Oh no, that's my analogy of the show as a whole, like how disappointing it is.
Oh, whatever.
Like-
Let's throw that in.
The show as a whole is like, you go to a restaurant and they present you with this. You see the waiter walking to your table with this beautiful plate of food, and he falls on his face and drops it on the ground. He goes back. He's like, I'll give you even more food. The rest is on the house. He comes back. It's starting to look better. He fucking drops out on the floor too, and he just scoops it back on the plate and just says, I'm not going back. I'm gonna do it again.
And then you just enjoy your meal with all the broken plates and shit.
And tears.
Like, tears and floor lint
Lint.
and all that stuff.
So,
Well, I thought a better analogy was, you see the waiter coming in with a plate full of delicious food.
Oh,
And
this was yours.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. You see the waiter coming in with a plate full of delicious food, and then Sochi Tendo takes your plate, and then he eats it.
And tells you how good it is.
that's pretty good, actually. Yeah, I can't beat that, so I'm just gonna say it's bad. But yeah, so coming up next is Toriko. We're gonna be having DJ on.
Oh,
So,
next episode is Toriko.
well, yeah, the next episode, because this pretty much filled out an entire episode. Damn, like good length there. Whew. But tune in next time for Toriko. It's gonna be great. A show about food that isn't bad, unlike this one, because this was bad.
Indeed.
I'm hungry.
We're going from food to food. But intentional food to Alright. See ya.
Like,
Kabuto,